Today we are looking at Firefly. Hoyoverse gave me access to the creator experience server so I can actually play her early. And out of the playtime I've had with her, she's already like my favorite character in this game. She's absolutely ridiculous, but I mean, she pilots a mech, so that's kind of to be expected. I mean, she literally blows up planets. But you already know I had to come up to the spot since we're talking about Firefly here. But let's go ahead and jump into her kit because it is absolutely insane. I love this character. Let's start with her Lightcone. Her Lightcone is unreal, boys. Like, if you're gonna play Firefly, I'm gonna just tell you right off the bat, you need this Lightcone because it's kind of necessary for her kit. It's like stupid good, but it increases her break effect by 60% and it inflicts routed on enemies for 2 turns, which basically just makes them receive 24% more break damage and it lowers their speed by 20%. None of the bottom part really matters all that much. The 60% break effect is absolutely massive because Firefly needs a lot of break effect. As you can see, the Firefly build I have on her right now it's 226% break effect. Like, she needs so much, it's insane. So let's jump into her traces and you'll get why. I'm gonna start with her ultimate because her ultimate is like the core of everything. Like, this is what matters. Nothing else in her kit really matters all that much. Her ultimate is where it all happens. So she enters her ultimate and it advances her action by 100%, enhances her basic attack, enhances her skill, increases her speed by 60%, increases her weakness break efficiency by 50%, and increases her break damage by 20%. I know that's a lot. She gets a ton of buffs from this. And this kind of acts like Robin's ult, where it has a little spot in the action order, and that's how long it lasts. So whenever it is the ultimate's turn, basically, is when the ultimate will end. And this is basically just a giant self buff. That's really all this ultimate is. So the enhanced basic attack is basically just the normal basic attack, but it doubles the damage, so it goes from 100% to 200%, and it heals her by 20%. So it gives her a little bit of healing, which you're going to need because her skill consumes 40% of her HP. This is just the normal skill, not the enhanced one. It consumes 40% of her HP and deals 200% of her attack as damage. But the main thing about this that's really big is it regenerates 60% of her energy. So this is how she's going to get her ult really fast, is through using that skill, because of her passive talent, she starts combat with 50% energy pretty much no matter what. Every single fight you get in, she's going to start with 50%. So you start the fight and then you immediately throw the skill. You already have your ult, you throw the ult, and then you just use your enhanced basic and enhanced skill until everything's dead. Because the damage she's going to do, odds are you're not going to run out of this ultimate, because you'll see that later when I show you guys actual gameplay of her. But let's talk about the enhanced skill. The enhanced skill restores HP by 25%. It applies fire weakness to a target, so it doesn't matter if they're weak to fire or not. She's going to make them weak to fire. And it deals damage equal to 20% of her break effect plus 200% of her attack to a target, and then deals basically half that to adjacent targets because this becomes a blast attack. A lot of stuff's going on already, and we haven't even started talking about her bonus abilities yet. And the main bonus ability that matters more than anything is this one. Basically, whenever she has a break effect higher than 200% or 360%, she will deal super break damage equal to 35% or 50%. So ideally, you would have above 200% break effect naturally. You're not going to get 360% break effect without supports. Like, that's just not going to happen. That's not really possible, which does make her really restrictive with what teams you can actually play her on. I mean, you can really only play her with Ruan Mei and Harmony Trailblazer because that's the only way you're going to get that 360% requirement if you want to go for that 50% super break damage. She also has another bonus ability that's going to increase her break effect by 0.8% for every 10 attack that she has that's over 1800. So you want to have a lot of attack and a lot of break effect on her build while also balancing your crit stats. So she's going to be a pretty expensive build. She's going to be kind of hard to set up, and you're going to need those supports like Ruan Mei and Harmony Trailblazer. But I think if you're willing to invest in this character, if you're willing to put in the work to make her work, she's insane. You're really going to have a lot of fun with her, so I don't think you'll regret it. But let's jump back to her Lightcone for a second, because like I said, her Lightcone does a lot for her kit, but there is a 4-star option you can use, which is Indelible Promise. This will increase her break effect and increases her crit rate by 15% after she uses her ult, which, funny enough, this meshes into her kit extremely well because you're going to use her ultimate pretty much immediately. You need the break effect, and of course, if this is S5, you're going to be getting a lot more break effect out of this. So if you don't end up pulling her light cone and you do have Indelible Promise, you might be okay, especially if it's S5. But that's definitely something to keep in mind if you're going to be going for Firefly. But let's go ahead and jump into some MOCs so I can actually show you guys how she works in actual fights. I specifically picked an enemy that wasn't weak to fire so I could actually show you her applying the fire weakness. But while we're here, I want to show you her out of combat technique because this is insane. She goes up into the sky and you can just kind of move around like this. And then when you come down, you hit the enemy and it says weakness to fire. Even though they're not weak to fire, it pretty much is no matter what, and it does that. Every single wave of enemies that comes after this is going to just get immediately hit with a fire explosion. And it's, dude, it's so good, especially for simulated universe stuff. It is amazing. But as you can see, she already has that 50% energy. So if I go ahead and use my skill, immediately I get my ultimate. It's insane, dude. It is actually insane. She's so easy to play. It's unbelievable how good she's going to be. I can't wait for everyone to actually try her out. But now I can use the enhanced skill. And this attack is so good, boys. Look at this. It's so fun. It's so fun. Obviously, it didn't do a lot of damage because all of Firefly's damage really comes from her break effect, and you're not going to do any damage to enemies that aren't weakness broken. So if I go ahead and buff her up with Harmony Trailblazer and Run May, they'll actually do a lot more damage. So let me get there, and you guys can actually see what her damage is supposed to look like. All right, I got all the buffs on now, and you guys will actually be able to see what this is supposed to look like. This is basically single target, but 257k. Like, dude, she's so good. She is so good. And then immediately the hit again on the fire explosion. Dude, she's so strong. She's actually, oh, I can already break this dude. This is gonna be a lot. 134k. She gets to go again. Like, this is E0, by the way. This is an E0 Firefly doing all of this. 257, like, she's so good. She is so good. I'm absolutely pulling this character. Like, I am so sold. They've got me, bro. Like, I'm so sold on Firefly. I can't help it. But yeah, that's Firefly. Let me know what you guys think of Firefly and if you're actually going to be pulling her in the comments. And I'll see you guys next time. Later.